Hello and welcome to this training video on obsessive compulsive disorder. I'm Mark Brennan and I'm Project Director for Continuing Education Television at the Missouri Institute of Mental Health in St. Louis, Missouri. And with me today is Amanda Tarter, who is a student of special education at SIU Edwardsville. Hi Amanda, how are you?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I understand that it's sometimes a difficult process to be in front of a camera talking with people, but you and I are just going to have a conversation just about your experiences with obsessive compulsive disorder. The first question that I have that will help us to understand that is, how has OCD affected your life?
It affects me on a daily basis. It makes me very anxious, and it causes me to want to do rituals on a daily basis, and just has bad thoughts, and just really makes me obsessed and just makes me a low-functioning adult. But the more I work at it and do cognitive behavioral therapy and exposure and ritual prevention, I've learned to become more of a medium-functioning adult.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the strategies in a few minutes that you've utilized to help you with that. But let's talk a little bit about what symptoms that you experience.
Symptoms are like I will start to have a fear, and then my anxiety will increase, and then I will want to do a ritual. So I'll do the ritual, and then my anxiety will desist for a few minutes, and then it will come back, and I'll just start in this vicious cycle.
So the cycle itself is probably a really uncomfortable place to be for you. The strategy that you use, the coping skills, can you talk to us about those?
I use a coping statement where I will sit there, I'll make up a statement where I'll say, Amanda, like for this interview, I'll be like, well, Amanda, my coping statement will be, if I make a fool of myself today, I made a fool of myself once, I'll do it again. You know, you kind of make a statement of just how it's going to go.
Well, that would be helpful for me, actually, because I make a fool of myself quite frequently. But that sounds like a really important statement to make, that what's the worst that would happen if you made a mistake, basically, is kind of what you're saying. Are there other coping mechanisms that you have?
The breathing is a big coping mechanism that you use.
Talk about that.
Where you inhale, and then you exhale through your nose, and you just do the breathing, and that's very important to calm down with.
Would that be one of the first things that you attempt to do?
Very definitely.
So let me ask you, if in the process of having a recurring thought and you get anxious and nervous about it, you probably find yourself hyperventilating or breathing really fast. So this breathing technique kind of helps you just remember to breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly.
Oh, yes.
And that maybe begins the process of relaxation for you?
The breathing is very important. That was one of the first techniques I was taught when I went into counseling, and it was the first technique I was taught when I went to the Institute.
Okay, so we have breathing, and then we have the statement that you make to yourself. The
coping statement. We also have very tactile things that we do, like materials and stuff that I touch, and like fur and stuff that I have, that really calms me down too.
So how did you find out that those things calm you down?
Really just experimenting with things.
So you and a therapist perhaps, or someone guided you through touching different materials to find which ones would be comfortable for you during that stressful time?
And it was just, at the Institute, we would have just a tabletop of things, and I would just touch things, and then I would touch it, and my anxiety would go down, and I said, this is what would help.
Oh, how nice. That's really an interesting way to deal with anxiety. So we have the breathing, we have the cognitive statements, or the statements that you make to help you calm down, and then there are tactile elements that you have. Now, do you have those in particular places? Around
the house. Like, my mom had knitted like a little pillow with fake fur in it, and so I touch that. That's on my bed, where I can touch that in the middle of the night when I wake up, and we just have fur all around the house.
Oh, that's really nice. And do you drive at all?
Yes, I do.
So do you have any of those elements in your...
my car is like cushioned. I can sit there and rub the car seat.
Oh, okay. So these are techniques that you've learned over a period of time that help you relax when you're having recurring thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Amanda, in addition to the breathing techniques, the tactile strategies, and the positive or coping statements, are there any other things or strategies that you have that help you with your OCD?
There's medication, which helps tremendously, but you have to know that you can't always rely on the medicine.
And what kind of medicine are you taking?
I'm taking Paxil, Topamax, Risperdal, and Abilify.
And some of that medication probably takes the edge off your anxiety.
Oh, yes.
Enough to stabilize you and allow you to do some of these other strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about cure for OCD. Can you be cured of your OCD?
No, you really can't be cured of your OCD, but you learn how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a child, you don't really know what's going on. You don't understand the bad thoughts. You know,
Mm-hmm.
why is this happening to me? Then when you're a teenager, you have the hormones and you don't really figure it out. But when you become an adult, you're more mature and you don't have the hormones or the childhood thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So you really kind of just learn how to deal with it. It never really goes away.
And so I guess you learn through being able to talk with someone who's trained to help
Mm-hmm.
you do that. So in terms of your diagnosis, how has that affected your family?
My family, they have to go to counseling periodically with me,
Mm-hmm.
to just when I'm having a bad time, like my parents will come with me and we'll have to discuss like a family plan.
Mm-hmm.
My parents have to learn that sometimes when we go out to dinner and it's a really crowded place, that I have to calm down before I can, really start to communicate with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to learn to leave me alone for a few minutes before I can get functioning again.
That must be difficult because I think people will try to help out.
Oh, yes.
Try to calm you down themselves because they're trying to do what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it must be a difficult position for them to be in, to have to figure out that they have to stop and wait for a few minutes before to allow you to do that. Is there a cue or a word or anything that you use?
I come back to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I just start to involve myself in the conversation.
Okay, otherwise you're not really talking
Mm-hmm.
a lot. It's real difficult. I think it would be difficult for me to learn how to give you space enough to compose yourself before you enter into socializing with someone, especially in a public place. That must be a difficult process to learn.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So are there other ways that your OCD has affected your family?
It really does affect them, but I think it's affected them in a good way too, because I think that I've just my OCD kind of makes me a different person, and I think I become kind of a joy to the family.
Okay. In what way?
My thoughts and stuff, I'll tell my parents a thought, like something silly, and I make them laugh with my thoughts. And
Okay.
so I do bring kind of joy to the family sometimes.
Sounds like you're able to laugh too.
You have to be able to laugh with your OCD or you'll go crazy.
Sure. Now, can you tell me how long you've been in treatment for OCD?
I've been in treatment for 5 years, but I've had OCD since I was little bitty.
And how did you get diagnosed with that?
My brother was involved in an accident a few years ago, 6 years ago actually, and I started to blame myself for it, even though I wasn't involved in the accident. And so then I was involved in an accident a year later, and I started having bad thoughts. I couldn't go to school, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. So my mom took me to a counselor, and I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And then so we knew that some of the puzzle wasn't fitting right. So then I was diagnosed with OCD then, because I started doing rituals and stuff after I was diagnosed with PTSD.
Okay, so are you being currently treated for both PTSD and
Yes.
OCD? And how have you found that to go?
Very well.
Very well. Are there any needs that you have, special needs as an OCD survivor?
Schooling, I have some needs where I need to have like volunteer note takers sometimes, and I have to sometimes miss a class because I'm so, just can't get out of the house some days, and I have to have like tests taken in the disability services room, and I have to have music on, and I just really have to have my tape player with breathing on it, the breathing tape that my counselors have made.
So those strategies at school are very helpful in terms of you being able to complete your work. Are there other special needs that you have?
Not really, I just kind of just try to do it all on my own, I don't like to feel different than everybody else.
Sure. It's kind of normalizing now, I think, in college and school and work environments, that people understand that people have special needs, and it doesn't necessarily have to result in anybody looking and singling you out. But that I think more times than not lately, institutions, schools, and work try to accommodate people's needs. So that's really an excellent thing that you're going to school. Is that what you're currently probably not, but are you on vacation?
No, I'm going to summer school.
Cool. What educational opportunities exist for folks with OCD?
There's the Obsessive Compulsive Foundation, which they have national meetings during the summer, and that's always a great place to go. You get to meet a lot of people, and it's just really fun.
Where is that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
it's at a different place every summer.
Oh, okay.
This year it's going to be held in Chicago.
And who sponsors that?
The Obsessive Compulsive Foundation.
Oh, okay. And that's located here in St. Louis?
No, that's located in, I don't quite know where.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
But there's a newsletter, and you can find it on the website where it's at. And then there is the St. Louis Behavioral Institute that's just down the road. That is a great place to go to for educational purposes. That I went there, and they were just wonderful there.
We interviewed someone from there for the clinician's perspective on OCD. So it sounds like they do a wonderful job.
Oh, they were awesome there.
Yeah. What do you look forward to in the future?
I look forward to becoming a special education teacher, getting a family, and having my OCD kind of diminish the older I get.
Now, the special education, why don't you talk to us about what area of interest that you have in special ed?
I want to be the early childhood special ed teacher.
So you'd be working with younger people. And would you have an interest in working with people who have OCD?
Very definitely.
Are you involved in any research?
We are involved in my parents and I are involved in a research study at the Rockefeller University.
Why don't you talk to us about that?
We just had to have some blood drawn, and we mailed it to them, and then they just run tests and periodically call us, and we have to answer some questions.
And what's the purpose of the...
To decipher or decide if there are any genetic traits in the DNA of us.
And so how long does this study go for?
It goes on for years.
For a long time?
Yeah.
And do you know how many people are involved in that?
Oh, I'm not for sure.
Well, we've got a couple of minutes left. If you would just tell our audience what you believe people should know about your experiences with OCD that would be helpful to them to understand how to treat or to be around folks who have OCD, we'd appreciate it.
I think that they just don't really treat them differently. I mean, if you see somebody in a restaurant who's having problems, don't really go up to them and be like, oh my gosh, what's the matter? Because that really sets me off, because it's like, because then you start to think, well, what if there really is something the matter with me, when you're just probably just anxious, and you just really need to just learn that OCD people aren't really all that different. Yes, we have bad thoughts and rituals and stuff, but we're not like freaks or anything. I hate when people call me a freak or something, that's just, it's stupid.
Now, one last question. Do you involve yourself with other people who have OCD? Like, are you individually going to a support group where other OCD survivors?
Not a support group. I want to go to a support group, but I haven't yet got there.
Okay.
But I volunteer in a special ed classroom with learning disabled kids, and a couple of the kids have OCD.
Oh boy, I bet you can relate to that, can't you?
Yeah.
Well, Amanda, I appreciate you coming in and
Thank
talking
you.
with us. I know it's always maybe a nervous experience sharing your private experiences with other people. So we're very thankful that you've come and shared your experience and expertise. For everybody who's out there looking at this video, I really encourage you to seek out information on obsessive compulsive disorder. Please look at the key concepts and also review the glossary of terms, and you'll have no problem taking your test. In addition to that, I would encourage you to look at the points of application. There'll be some suggestions in there about how you can learn more about obsessive compulsive disorder. For now, thank you and good luck.